FEMA's own published guidance tells American citizens to be prepared to survive without government assistance for a minimum of 72 hours following a major disaster. 72 hours. That's what the federal government officially admits it cannot do. What they don't put in the brochure is what those 72 hours actually look like on the ground. What specific things will not be available to you? Number 911, no hospital, no emergency supply distribution, no utility response, while you wait for help that is not coming yet. A retired Green Beret with 20 years of service told me, 72 hours is the official number. The realistic window before meaningful government assistance reaches individual households is closer to 96 to 120 hours. In about 5 minutes, I'll cover the one thing that kills more people in the first 72 hours than any other single factor. It's not violence. It's not dehydration. Item number 7 is something the government literally cannot provide in the first 72 hours, not because of resources, but because of a specific legal and logistical constraint. The preparation for number 1 on this list costs $23. $23. Fewer than 4% of American households have done it. 13 gaps. 72 hours. This is what's actually coming before the cavalry arrives. This is a video about documented operational reality, what emergency management systems are physically, logistically, and legally capable of delivering in the first 72 hours. Emergency response systems are designed for scale. They serve millions of people. They are not designed for speed to any individual household. A retired Army Civil Affairs officer named James told me, the help they're waiting for is real and it's coming, just not on the timeline they think. That gap is where people make bad decisions. 13 items. Numbered from least to most critical. Number 13 is something you can solve for about $8. Number 1. The thing that kills more people? I'll tell you exactly what it is. Number 13. Trash collection and waste removal stops immediately in any declared regional emergency. The trucks are redirected, the routes suspended. Accumulating household waste in summer heat creates pest attraction, odor, and disease vector conditions within 48 to 72 hours. If you don't have a plan, you're creating a sanitation problem inside a crisis. The solution costs under $20. Contractor-grade 55-gallon bags, a designated containment area on your property, and hydrated lime from Tractor Supply for odor and pest control. Number 12. When the power grid goes down, your money, specifically your ability to access and use your money, goes with it. ATMs require power and network connectivity. Electronic payment systems require network infrastructure that is disrupted or overwhelmed. Your accessible money is whatever physical cash you currently have. Cash, specifically small bills, becomes the only functioning currency in a local exchange economy within hours of a grid failure. The person with $40 in fives and ones can buy fuel from a neighbor. The person with zero cash has nothing. The preparation, $40 to $60 in fives and ones, in a sealed envelope, in each vehicle you own. It requires no purchase. It requires only a decision. Number 11. If you take prescription medications, blood pressure, diabetes, cardiac, anticoagulants, psychiatric, the first 72 hours of a regional crisis will test your supply in a way most people have never confronted. Pharmacy systems require power, network connectivity, and supply chain access, all compromised in a regional emergency. Emergency prescription access typically takes 72 to 96 hours to establish. A former Army combat medic told me, the calls we get in the first 24 to 48 hours are not trauma. They're medication crises. This is the most predictable, most preventable medical emergency in any disaster. The preparation, maintain a 7-day buffer of all critical medications. Talk to your physician about a 90-day supply prescription. Know the generic names of your medications in case of substitution. Number 10. Drinkable water. Everyone knows to have it stored. Yet after every major regional emergency, water is the resource that runs out fastest in underprepared households. FEMA recommends 1 gallon of water per person per day. A realistic daily requirement per person in an emergency is closer to 2.5 to 3 gallons. Cooking, wound irrigation, pet hydration, medication. Municipal water systems lose pressure within 24 hours of grid failure. Once pressure drops, tap water is not safe to consume without treatment even before any contamination event. The preparation: 7 5-gallon water jugs from any hardware store, filled and rotated every 6 months. A gravity-fed water filter, Sawyer squeeze or Berkey, for treating any available water source. Number 9. When the grid goes down and cell towers fail, the information environment of a regional crisis becomes almost completely opaque to unprepared households. You don't know if it's getting better or worse. The only reliable emergency information system is NOAA Weather Radio, which operates on its own dedicated transmitter infrastructure specifically designed to function during regional emergencies. A former Navy operations specialist told me, NOAA Weather Radio is the cheapest piece of situational awareness equipment available. Anyone who doesn't have one is making decisions blind. Number 8. Traffic fatalities increase by 30 to 40% in the first 24 hours following a major regional power outage, not because of violence, because of traffic signals. Every intersection becomes an uncontrolled intersection. Panic and urgency reduce caution. Road debris from the event creates additional hazards, and emergency vehicles are slowed, sometimes critically. Treat every dark intersection as a four-way stop. Drive at 60% of normal speed. Have a paper map, not a phone map, of your local area because GPS requires connectivity that may be compromised. James told me, in the aftermath of major events, the most common serious injuries in the first 24 hours weren't from the event itself, they were vehicle accidents during evacuation. A paper map and a decision to drive slow saves lives. Number 7. In a declared regional emergency, government medical personnel operate under specific legal authorities that take time to establish: declarations, executive orders, scope of practice waivers, typically 48 to 72 hours. The gap is not that medical help won't arrive. The gap is that the medical help may be more constrained in what it can do in the first 72 hours than you expect. The help with the fewest constraints is you. James said, in that gap, which can be 24 to 48 hours after initial personnel arrive, trained civilians are often doing more effective individual medical care than the responders waiting for authorization. The preparation: Stop the Bleed certification. Free. 2 hours. Bleedingcontrol.org. That training is the most valuable thing you can do with 2 hours of your time for preparedness purposes. Number 6. Gas stations require electricity to run their pumps. In a regional grid-down event, stations that do function develop lines stretching half a mile within the first 2 hours. A gas station's entire underground tank inventory, typically 10,000 to 15,000 gallons, can be depleted in under 4 hours once regional panic sets in. Once it runs dry, it stays dry until supply chain restoration days. Frank, the retired Green Beret, told me his fuel rule: never let any vehicle in my household go below half a tank. Ever. Not as an emergency measure. As a standing habit. Fuel is freedom. Number 5. If anyone in your household uses power-dependent medical equipment, home oxygen concentrators, CPAP machines, infusion pumps, electric wheelchairs, the first 72 hours of a grid-down event presents a specific threat FEMA is not equipped to address individually. FEMA maintains a special needs registry. In documented major events, the gap between registry existence and actual prioritized individual outreach has consistently been 48 to 96 hours, sometimes longer. The preparation: backup battery banks for CPAP machines, available for $80 to $150. A manual wheelchair as backup. A written 72-hour plan for anyone in your household with power-dependent medical needs. Number 4. In a normal period, 9/11 to arrival time for fire response in urban areas is 5 to 7 minutes. In a major regional emergency, documented response times have ranged from 25 minutes to over an hour. In the first 72 hours of a regional crisis, your first line of fire response is you. A fire extinguisher, ABC rated, 2.5-pound minimum, mounted in your kitchen, can stop a small house fire before it becomes an inferno. Frank told me, in the military, we have a concept called organic capability, the capability your unit possesses without calling for support. Your organic fire suppression capability is whatever you have mounted on your wall. Number 3. Law enforcement response capacity is degraded during regional emergencies. Officers are reassigned to critical infrastructure, evacuation management, and search and rescue. Patrol density in residential areas drops significantly. The primary deterrent to property crime and opportunistic intrusion in the first 72 hours is visible presence and light, specifically, the appearance of an occupied, alert, prepared household. James said, households that are lit up, have visible activity, and present no indication of being easy targets are almost never the ones that experience property crime in the first 72 hours. Deterrence is cheaper than response. Number 2. Psychological deterioration in crisis conditions is a documented physiological response to sustained stress, sleep deprivation, uncertainty, and resource scarcity. It begins within 24 to 48 hours. The government cannot provide psychological support to individual households in the first 72 hours. The people most critical to your household's survival, the ones making decisions, are most susceptible to psychological degradation. Frank told me, the thing that kills unit capability in extended field operations isn't physical hardship, it's psychological drift when there's no structure, no routine, no shared purpose. The psychological prep is not optional. It's foundational. The preparation, a written routine for the first 72 hours. Assigned roles for every household member. Comfort food in storage. Playing cards, books, a battery-powered radio with music. The cost is minimal. The impact is significant. Number 1. Former FEMA Regional Coordinator Sandra told me, what kills more people in the first 72 hours of a major regional crisis than any other single factor? Cardiac events and strokes. The EMS system is overwhelmed. The hospitals are triaging. The catheterization labs are backed up. People die who would have survived on a normal Tuesday. Sandra. This is why the $23 preparation matters. Hands-only CPR training. The American Heart Association offers free training. A person in cardiac arrest loses roughly 10% of survival probability for every minute without CPR. In a regional crisis where EMS response is delayed by 20 to 40 minutes, a bystander who knows hands-only CPR is the only intervention between life and death. Derek, Army combat medic. In a combat environment, the first 4 minutes after a cardiac event are everything. Not the medevac. Not the surgeon. The guy standing next to the casualty. Train them. The government cannot do it for them. Have the conversation. Tonight. Before you need to. Subscribe. Share this with someone who'd rather know than not know. Stay ready.